there, my beautiful, gorgeous beings of light to the Nic and Bean Unscripted. Yeah, baby.
I'm Beanie.
I'm Nic.
We're going to take you on a journey of conversations that include things like purple unicorns, aliens, real life stuff, and anything in between.
We can't wait to see where these conversations take us, because I can guarantee you they're going to get pretty cray-cray.
Well, with you in the room, Nicola, anything can happen.
That is true. Thank you for joining us on our journey. If you have any input that you want to add to this channel, we would love to hear from you. In the meantime, let's get the show on the road. Phew. Fucking excited. Nickie Hanley is with us.
I like that you've got your love heart top on.
Thank you, darling, for the people, for the love, for me.
For those of you who don't know, Nickie is how many years of yoga professional instructor?
About 15 years, something
15 years. Well versed in the world of love and spirituality and connection, humanity, all of the likes. Would you like to add anything there to your repertoire?
She's based in Melbourne. She's a fucking awesome chick. You're not following her. She also does disco yoga, which is like next level yoga, which is like vocal house decks with awesome bloody yoga moves with Nickie. She does St Kilda Festival. She does her own events, Dharma in Melbourne, Dharmaland, which is a community-based initiative, and is basically about raising a level of consciousness to connect to ourselves in love and community. She does a tremendous job, and we're super stoked to have you as a good friend and an avid follower.
Yeah, like you two, I love you two. Like I just like there is such a deep understanding of love that I have for you two, that it comes from a soul conscious awareness. Yeah. It's not manifested in my mind. It's an energy, and it's something that is timeless and boundless. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Vice versa. Beautiful.
Profound words. Beautiful. That's beautiful.
I want to start with something that's been on my mind when we spoke about a potential communication that we could have and topic. And I just want to talk about the initial stages of that healing. Like, I remember when I first started healing, there was weakness associated with love. Like, for me, it was weak to be loved. Like, it was weak to be loved. And it was only through my journey of, going deep and all that kind of shit that I realized. And obviously we're waking into the feminine consciousness, which is, you think of Beanie's got a great, which I don't know much about, but the white
buffalo calf woman.
White buffalo calf woman. She's like an incredible fucking person.
It's who Nicola's called cow. What's that cow woman baby thing?
But she is actually an archetype, isn't she? Could she be an archetype? I mean, she is an archetype in a lot of ways, because she's.
Well, archetypes are more of a definition of someone. So you could use her as a symbol more than an archetype.
Okay.
She taught the like American Indians, like the peace pipe and the fire and the traditions of the land and everything. But if you messed with her, she'd turn you to dust.
Yeah.
So she's very powerful. She's deeply steeped in her feminine and loving, but have very healthy boundaries.
Yeah, and really strong. And it was through that I really started to understand more about love and how fucking powerful it is. Like, it's a powerful, not. It's not, I don't want to go we can venture into it, but I guess I wanted to ask you first off, what was your journey and discovery of love for yourself? Or is it, do you know what I mean? Can we start there? What do you think?
Yeah. It's obviously an ongoing thing. It's not like, I don't believe that I'm any master of anything to do with it. I'm definitely working with it every day. But I think I learnt about love through the lack of love, actually, through the lack of love from my father. So when I was a kid, I just, he was an emotional abuser and physical abuser, and just not someone that taught you about love, right? And so, my mum taught me about being like a mama bear, like protection, right? She would have my back no matter what, but she also wasn't overly affectionate or strong, right? So she's a strong woman. So this was what was kind of shown to me, and it definitely put up a barrier for me in regards to how I could love, because I didn't know how to, like something that was innate. So, and plus I had put protection up to protect myself, because that's what you do as a child when you're being abused in whatever way. So it was, it took a long time, but, without wanting to promote drugs, I definitely broke through a lot of these barriers by taking drugs, and, in particularly ecstasy. And
it's funny. It's funny how drugs, I mean, we've all kind of participated in that realm. And I think, and exactly, we don't want to promote it, but the ability to expand the mind.
Yeah.
Or get away from it's the opening up away from just that really not linear mind, but that subconscious mind with the stories and everything else, like, I mean, if we're talking about psychedelics, obviously it gives you a new level of what is available to you consciousness wise, in a sense. But I think, like, you use the example of ecstasy, and again, not condoning it, but there's a reason they're using them. There's a reason they're using psilocybin and MDMA and things like that in therapy now, because, it does allow you those moments of, I know for myself, which it got to, probably a more dangerous place for me, because that avoidance of self, it was perfect in the drugs, which becomes an addiction. But, I mean, the addiction isn't, the addiction doesn't exist if you're okay in yourself, right? As they tested, the rats don't go back for the cocaine when they're on their own, when they're not on their own, when they're with a group and they're feeling good. So it is an escapism, but it's also a connection as well. Like, it's got that two bit of thing. Like, for me, I did it to escape myself, but I also felt like I came more into myself. Like, I lost my inhibitions, I lost my anxiety for a moment, I lost the stories for a moment in that space, so I could be what I thought really was truly me, which at the time I think was funny, entertaining, adventurous, and when I wasn't that, I was kind of like, I'm the DJ standing there, I don't dance, I don't do whatever, I don't go out of my container. Like, I was very contained. So I think that expansion that you talk about of allowing love in, I mean, there was so much love in those spaces. And people could say, oh, you can't call it love because you were on drugs or you're whatever, but I'm like, I actually feel like there was some really beautiful connections, because in those moments, and some people say this is tainted and it's not love, but you could have been on a dance floor and everything was taken away, and the connection you had with that person that you didn't even know, like, you'd never met them, you didn't know, and you felt so much love for them, you felt the love from them, and it felt so genuine. Like, it was real. It was real. And I think it's because those things let us lose those judgments and inhibitions. And I can tell you right now, not to go down this rabbit hole, but because obviously being a DJ for over a decade in that time, I saw the progress, the degression, or whatever you talk about, going from that idea when we were like all in it and that love space, to when those things changed chemically and they became aggressive rather than loving. So instead of bumping into someone on a dance floor and be loving and meeting them and learning their life story, it became like, fuck you, you're in my space. So that's where I think that.
Are you talking about the drugs themselves that came onto that?
100%. Yeah. But we're not here to talk about that. So anyway, segue.
So anyway, back to you.
Getting back to that, I just think that definitely allowed some therapy for me, in a sense, and I let go of the things that I'd put up to protect myself with people. And like, I spent a lot of time in my teenage years not loving myself. I had ideas about myself that, people didn't love me. And so we know about the law of attraction, and we know about manifestation, and we know about energy. So looking back at it now, I know that I was projecting outwardly and it was coming back to me. So I was often just not happy, So it allowed me to feel happy and to break through and see myself and let go of so many things that opened my heart up. So inevitably becoming sober like 17 years ago, I think it's nearly coming to 18 years now. It was then a journey of getting to know myself with that information of love and deep connection. So, and then loving myself. So being on my own for so long, like you only have yourself to deal with. You obviously have relationships with people, but you have to look inside of yourself and hear what's going on and see what's going on and feel what's going on. So it did definitely give me tools to like feel and understand what real love is. And like what I was saying about you two, how I feel about you two, you're like my family, right? Often people say, oh, I hate my family, blah, 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 right? And I understand that that's a potential, but when you see that we're all energy and we're souls experiencing a human body, you can go beyond the story that's creating that friction.
Yeah.
You can go beyond it. You can like I can see my father now and send him love. Like seen him probably twice since I was 18, so 30 years ago. So, but when I've seen him those 2 times, I've been able to hug him, console him. They were both funerals. So most people would just ignore that person because they've been abusive. But I understand who he is and that it's a flawed human being, that like it is what it is. Like I don't have to hold on to that and have disdain for that person. I can still have love for that person, even though they are not really capable of themselves.
Well, it's that capability, isn't it? Like it's hard to hold someone accountable when you can see them through a truer lens and then still expect that same thing from them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like you recognize when we realize that parents are just humans that did or didn't get it right, and what's getting it right anyway, but we can all tell stories about where we feel they didn't get it right. But when you can come to that space really of pure acceptance, that's when you can be more unconditional in it, because otherwise we're showing up. If we show up as a child, it's like, I'm going to love you because I know it's the right thing to do, but you blah, 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 and I'm not who I am or who I want to be because you did this. Like it's when we're holding that pain still inside and that expectation of someone to be something, it makes it very challenging to forgive. And I literally had a conversation with my sister like 3 days ago about this, because the week prior she mentioned about, she didn't know how people could forgive someone that had done, like it's a parent or something, when they'd done certain things. And we were talking about, not to speak for her, but we were talking about our own upbringing and our father and stuff. And I've done a lot of work and understanding to be in a really beautiful space now with my own father, that, I don't feel the need to apologize for not connecting with him, because I understand the relationship now and my expectation of him. It's not much because I can see his capacity. So I'm not that little girl anymore going, why weren't you a father? It doesn't mean anything about me anymore. Like that trauma's been healed. And it's so once we deal with our own stuff in that space, then we have that capacity to forgive. And I think the conversation with my sister was like that confusion of how can you forgive someone when clearly they're still angry at them, you know what I mean? And for me it was like, I'm not angry in any way, shape or form, because how could I expect anything more from that person?
Mm.
And you know, when you talk about this, what I think about also is the journey of loving ourselves as such a critical part to really starting to love and accept people. Because, you know, there's that saying that, you know, sounds so true. I was going to say reaps so true, but I don't know if that's right. But anyway, sounds so true that your ability to love yourself allows and to honor you. And this is where we've come from in the world that has been, you know, from our parents, and, you know, what they were showing when they were growing up and what we're being shown now in our lifetime is fucking polar opposites. And so when we're able to love ourselves and honor ourselves, and that comes back to, from my perspective, it comes back to making those really small decisions about understanding more of who you are, which is what you spoke about when you were sober. You know, what are those things that you want? What are your values? What do you love about yourself? What do you want in this lifetime? What, you know, all those little questions which, you know, evolve over our lifetime that we're here, that then we then get to start making choices that we love ourselves, and we are able to honor and love other people because we've had this capacity within ourselves to start to see who we are.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that, or what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that self-inquiry is what we're actually here for. Like,
Otherwise, we're not here.
Yeah.
There's no need, right?
looking outside of ourselves and everything outside is influencing how we are on the inside. So
true.
Yeah. So when you get the moment, the aha moment within yourself to dive in and actually process life, because that's really what everything is about. Like every single memory that's kind of jogged, like created a synapses in your brain and stuck there over your childhood, has kind of driven us when we're unconscious for so long. And you become conscious and you go, oh, actually, you know, I am flawed. It's okay. I'm just going to work on these flaws, and I'm going to do my best to, like, when you have the values, like you said, when you've got the values, you want to be a good person, you want to be kind and compassionate and considerate. And these are all qualities of love. When you want to be driven by love, you're prepared to look at your own ugliness and be okay with it. And
I fucking love that statement, Nickie, because it's so true. You know, I was thinking in my head, the ugliness, or the idea, you know, there's so many in my journey of healing personally, there's just been that resistance to going, you know, do you want to be a good person? You know, well, I am a good person. What are you talking about? I do great things. I'm awesome. You know, and that resistance straight up to go, well, no, let's go deeper.
It's protection.
You know, and yeah.
That resistance is protection. It's, and like that very, sorry to interrupt you, but that very reaction, and even the way you said it in character, but it's like that quick response of someone going, you know, you want to be a good person. It's like, well, I am a good person. Like, I'm a good person, you know, and it's almost like you're trying to convince yourself in that space, rather than the question is there anything more I can be doing? And that's not to be constantly chasing, it's to being open to reflection and witnessing of self. And like I think you said before, Nickie, it's inquiring into it. And it's like, what am I to do with each moment? What am I to do with each interaction? What am I to be in this moment? What am I to choose next? Like, we always have that observation if we choose to be present enough to see it. So anything else is a reaction from that subconscious mind that can't come from love, because it's a protection and it's a deflection, and it's a, you know, like, that's why it's such a quick response. It's like, I'm protecting myself and I'm saving myself, therefore the illusion is that I'm being loving and caring to myself because I'm keeping myself safe. where the illusion is you're not allowing love into that space through fear of not being loved.
Not being
Right?
enough.
It's the bottom
And I
of it.
in the end, it really boils down to the ego. So
Yeah.
like it's always coming up in character, whether it's the critic, the judge, the jury, you know, like whether or not you're in self-doubt, whether you're in self-loathing, these sort of qualities of the ego, which it's so weird. The ego is so weird. It's like, what?
It's a tricky fucker. We like him. It's
like, what be an asshole to me? You know, like, why is that? And it's so interesting. And that's why love is so important, because, you know, that's why when you have a child, you should be doing this fucking work, because you're about to imprint onto another being and really have a massive impact on their trajectory in life. And so if you're going to have that as a responsibility, do the fucking work. Like, don't just think that you'll get by. And because I promise you, whatever's going on for you is going to be going on for them as well. And
it's true.
It's true.
Well, they're watching everything, aren't they? It's a feel. It comes down to like an energetic proposition and a feeling and a witnessing of, like, they're just like a sponge watching every single thing. So you can say something to teach them, but really it's what you're doing and the energy of that they're witnessing that they're going to become, not the thing that you say, right?
So true. And I was thinking about, we're talking about with protection, you know, I mean, Beanie would probably argue this, but I believe I've been quite open most of my life. But, you know, let's just say I'm really fucking open now.
Perception of life, you are open.
But the thing is, well, how do you feel? Like, I've always been open in terms of being, and maybe it's been open to experience, you know. I'm definitely opinionated, don't get me wrong. I have my opinions and I have my strong values. And that's not to say that's anything less than love. And I think that's a really interesting part, actually, before I go into openness, is that, you know, one of the conversations I've had with Beanie in the past has been, you know, typically love as we're mirrored in society, i.e. the, what's the word when a feminine is not distorted feminine, is that, you know, we have this association love, which is, you know, compromising, pleasing, you know, all those distorted behaviors, you know, like really fucking not great, you know, and we're mirrored that, you know, you in the spiritual community, you know, there's a lot of, you know, I'm going to give you everything. I'm going to give you everything. I'm going to give you my heart, my soul, and my fucking my solar plexus if I've got one spare. But, you know, how do we start becoming aware that love isn't the love that resides with the strength and power that is innately us, that is innately our individual right, you know, to exude to all beings and to feel safe. Because my love and Beanie's love, although it's similar in its energy, it's still different. You know, it's still different. You know, what she decides is compassionate, and what, you know, my compassion is, you know, may differ, you know, and what about that judgment in that, you know, like, can we be at peace with the different varyings of compassion, or is it just one level of compassion?
For me, it's not about what it looks like. It's like what Bean said before, it's about how it feels. So about understanding that there is no disconnection between you and me. We're all in the energy of this, you know, this universe. Like, there's no separation. So I feel like that is love. When you understand no separation. End is the thing that separates us. So it's easy for us to go, hang on, you don't sound like me. So once again, your compassion is not as good as mine. I'm much more compassionate than you. And, you know, it's like, say, for example, we're vegans, right? Like we're plant-based eaters. So, you know, I could sit around and go, you're all fucked. You eat meat, you fucking assholes. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just not.
That's not true. That's not true.
That, do you know what I mean? Like for one, energy doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't. It's not going to work that way. So it's that kind of Buddhist kind of approach in the sense that we have to accept all that is. Like there's no way that we're not coming from the ego if we're making something right and something wrong. So love is not right and wrong.
It's not polarizing, is it?
No.
Like that would be the powerful word for it, I think, like polarizing.
So can you just say, you cut out a bit, what did you say then?
There is no polarization. There is no separation. Yeah.
And in adding to that, sorry, because I did talk over the top, and I'm realizing when we all talk together that you get blocked out. So sorry to, I'll give you a voice, Nickie. I'll give you a voice. What are your thoughts on love and conditions? Because to me, I would always say love is unconditional, but then I not trick myself, but then my mind goes into different analytics and tries to challenge it. Because then if we talked about healthy boundaries, can healthy boundaries be a condition? Because I would say I will love anyone. I love everyone, right? And I see the best in everyone. And people have found that hard in the past because I can feel love no matter what people have done. I see the soul behind the trauma and behind everything else. So I have acceptance of all people. And so then if someone said, I love you, but my healthy boundaries are taking me away, that's not saying I'll love you with a condition, is it? That's saying I'll still love you, but I'll be over here because that's safer for me, or that's for my highest good, rather than, like you said before, some people might say, well, that person needs it, so I'm going to compromise myself to allow them to feel something, even though it compromises me. Did that make sense?
So that last bit you were just saying is the opposite of love.
The last bit, totally right.
Yourself. The thing is that we are having a human experience. We do have to have boundaries because it is the way that it is. You know, we're not living in a, you know, like a retreat center where everything's Shanti and, you know, everything's perfect. It's not like that. Right? So, but the thing that I feel the most is that it's always about you. So if you're driving down the street and you've been impatient and you've done no checking in time for yourself, you've done that day in, day out for a little while, and it's built up, and frustration's built up, and anger's popped in here and there, and you know, it's a bit of self-loathing's popped in there, and then you get in the car and then someone's cutting you off and you go, you're a fucking idiot, I fucking hate you, fucking that person has no idea about you. Only you know about you. So you are having a unloving experience with yourself and it outward at somebody else. And you know, because every time I speak to you in the car, I'm like, and you're like, yeah, having a bit of road rage. You know, it's definitely been a space for me because, you know, like it's, and for most people, it's a life and death situation, right? So good opportunity for the ego to kick in, because the ego is going to say, you have to protect yourself. You have to exist. So make sure that you know, but it's not a good experience, right? Yeah. It's just not loving. It's not accepting. It's not good for your own body, you know. Like I was just listening to Greg Braden, is one of my favorite teachers. I love him.
He's my man. He's my man.
You know, I love him. I love him. Like big love for him. Like when I went to the Scientists, Mystics and Sages conference in Santa Fe, and he was one of the guest speakers, and I walked up next to him and I said, can I give you a hug? And he's like, yes. We gave each other, and it's just like oozing love, right? And it was the one that really cracked me open in the meditations out of all of them. And, you know, like I love Dr. Joe. I've done lots of training with him, but, you know, Greg was really just somehow getting you into your heart immediately. And when you get into your heart, you lose all the stuff the mind has convinced you of that's outside of yourself. So all the concepts of life, you lose all of that. So that's pure love for me. When you can be in a space with complete strangers, and there is an absolute energetic connection of this vibration. So it's a perfect, aligned, coherent vibration. And that's the thing that I was listening to. He was talking about the heart has these talons, and so basically they're one of the reasons why we pump out easily the blood out into the body. So it's sending messages out into the body. And so the heart, if we are not coherent, which is those moments of frustration, anger, or, you know, all of those kind of low vibrational things that feel like resistance, those are causing us to pump that blood out inefficiently. So inevitably we become unhealthy because of those things, and we cause disease and disease. So, you know, you end up being an incoherent mess. So, you know, that's why if we don't do the resetting and the sitting down and the being with ourselves and recognizing when we're not okay and going, hang on, no, I have to carve some time out for myself right now. And that's what I mean by boundaries is good, because we have to do those things, right? Because we're not just souls floating around. We're having a human experience of things that stress us out. So
we're in a body, right? So we have to embody things, like we have to, yeah.
I was going to say I had a weekend with my family, which is always fun. I do love my family. It's taken me a good whack of healing to get to the space, but I love them incredibly, and I'm kudos to me for all the fucking work I've done. Just want to say, but I had a fucking rip snorter of an argument with my sister on the weekend, and I came home and I also had an argument with Beanie. And there was a full moon on Saturday. Not that I'm going to fucking blame the full moon, but I feel like I was really tapping into some old, like I was acting like, I don't know, like I haven't acted like it for a long time. Like I felt, two things I want to say. One that I'm really loving is you can start, the more you become to witness yourself, the more you can feel your actual heart. You can actually feel the discord when things aren't feeling fucking great. They're a little bit like, and you just feel gross, right? And you know, now the more awareness I have with myself, I can actually target how to resolve it. And there's two things that I did, that I've read, and then I did the other night. And the first one, the one thing that I read the other night, a few months ago was, and I can't remember, it was this dude, anyway, some dude, maybe, no, some other dude. Anyway, they basically said when energy flows through the heart, you're open. When you can feel it closed, when you feel it closed, you're actually blocked. Nothing can actually come into the heart. You can't receive it. You can't process it. There's nothing there. And one of my things that I do now is that I allow the energy to feel flowing through my heart. That, you know, as soon as I feel it blocked, I go, well, right now my heart's blocked, so I can't receive love. I can't give love. I can't, you know, I can't receive any gifts from the universe. I can't, you know, create magical gifts to occur. You know, I can't be grateful. I can't, you know, it just becomes such a limitation. So as soon as I become aware of that feeling of ickiness, I can really start to breathe. And one of the things that I did for the first time in the fullest extent possible, because I was quite angry, is that I breathed so long into my heart at 110% commitment, because I wanted to not feel the way I felt anymore. I wanted, and I was literally, I'm sure Beanie, did you hear me?
I don't know.
Yeah, I was just breathing so deep. I was just like it was so deep. The anger was so deep, and I just kept breathing. And I reckon it was about 20 breaths of just like, and I've never breathed that deep before, but I can tell you, I think I fell asleep after in 20 breaths. Like, it was that immediate in terms of my nervous system and feeling at such a heightened state of, because you're in that state, right? Your ego's just going fucking full tit on all things, like chucking left things, like it's just in the zone of hyper reaction. And yeah, I don't know what
can I say something?
Yeah, of course.
Firstly, we just, like, when we spoke about embodiment, right, like bringing it back to not just having things out here as a not practical is not the word, but things can be here, but bringing them back into here and embodying them is really us truly living through it, right? Not always just having it here for us. But I mean, obviously breath is like ridiculously powerful in grounding us and bringing us into our body and bringing us back into that embodiment out of mind. And Greg Braden, of course, is the OG of like heart coherence and everything about it, which was like why I love him so much, because he's been around for so many years, and he created the Heart Math Institute for anyone who wants to look that up, which is where all the heart coherence stuff comes into play. But just to bring that calmness into that space, like from breath, but also with a lot of my clients in the past, like they might have this really traumatic idea of something, and I've literally simply said to them, I just want you to take that and I want you to bring it into your heart space. And sometimes there's so much resistance to it. They're like, I don't want that to be in my heart. It's like, I don't want to, put something like so negative into a space that I want to remain pure or whatever. Anyway, and I'm like, just trust me, let's do it. And when you get them to bring this, whatever it is, and you could describe it as like a black rock or tar or something like that, and they bring it into their heart space. And I say to them, you don't even have to do anything. I just want you to know that you're bringing it into your heart space, and I just want you to witness it. I just witness it in that space. And every single time, like, I watch these people with their eyes closed doing that process, and then within minutes, like, you see the facial expression change to a little wry smile, like, what the hell, what's just happening here? And then they come out of it and they go, oh my God, like, because they didn't even have to do anything. Your conscious effort is bringing it into the heart space, and it will change it for you. Like, it's so powerful. Greg Braden did a beautiful movie, Power of the Heart, I think it's called. And if anyone hasn't watched it, I think you can get it on YouTube or somewhere, but it's just,
have you watched it?
We've watched it a couple of times, and I'm happy to watch it again because it was really beautiful. But there's there's scenes in it. They put electrodes on the heart and the mind, and they put things up on a computer screen for people, and the heart responds firstly before the mind sees it. So you're seeing, the heart, but just showing that electromagnetic field that extends from the body, from the heart, no other organ does. But just the power of that, to have that psychic ability of choice and seeing before anything else. And not to get too scientific, but as we know, the heart is the first thing that starts working in the body before the mind's even there. So the illusion of the mind tells everything what to do. The heart is so profound in everything it does. It's written in scriptures. It's written in the original tablets. Like, it's everywhere you look, you will find it. You will find it. And I just would recommend to anyone who's feeling lost, who's feeling in their head, who's feeling anything, one of the things, or two of the things, like you said, breathe nice slow breaths to bring you back into that coherence, but also utilizing that heart, because that is to me where your connection to true consciousness resides. It is consciousness itself, and that higher connection. And if I ever want to ask a question for my higher self, I will turn around and I teach people to put their hand on their heart and come into that space and say, is it for my highest good to whatever? And if you follow that, if you learn to do that really well and you follow that really quick answer, like once you know how to do it, you don't have to put your hand on your heart and you go to ask and you can listen to it really quickly. If you followed that, and this is something Greg Braden taught me as well, and his example was getting on a plane, that he decided not to get on a plane or something because there was dangerous stuff happening anyway. But if you follow that in your life, even though sometimes it's scary and it's sad, because someone might say, is this relationship for my highest good? And it says no. And you're like, fuck, well, this, I've got everything invested in this, or what, if you still follow that, it might not be really easy at the start, but you'll always be guided exactly where you need to go. It's just about listening, like getting out of here and really truly listening to that heart energy and that heart wisdom.
Yeah. So why do you think it is that it's a bit like eating junk food over eating healthy food, right? Like understanding how you feel when you eat really organic, beautiful, fresh food. Like when I eat my mum's food from her garden, I'm like, it's, like it's so obvious that one, it was grown with love and that it's pure, right? It's clean. So why is it that we have this addiction to not being in that state, not being in our heart, not trusting in the heart? Like, why is it that the ego has become such a predominant way of living now on the planet and drives greed, drives, the need for more in every single area of life, whether that's war, whether that's, like just in your neighborhood, your need to have everything your way, like, why do we do that? Why is it so easy to do when the heart is without doubt our center, the center?
Yeah. Can I go first? For me, I would say because we're not connecting to it. One, because if we were truly connecting to it and asking those questions and following that guidance, then we wouldn't do those things. Do you know what I mean? If someone said, do I need to feel better than this person, or is it in my highest good to be an arsehole today? And, I say there's no such thing as an arsehole. There's people that behave badly because they're hurting, but that doesn't necessarily excuse what they do. It just gives it an understanding. I believe we're wired more and more every generation from the outside and the 1% powers that be to turn against each other and to feel selfish and to feel that need. So I think part of it's a programming that is neurologically wired into us so subconsciously now with the gazillions of things we see. And, I think that's why people are finding more and more solace in their tribes of like-minded people who they can feel okay without having to plug into that all the time, right? So that's a societal thing of how we are to each other. I think it's that lack of connection within the heart. I think we also, all as a human race, there's still that resonance of deserving to feel crappy, like deserving to feel pain, right? Like there's still a lot of trauma in the world, and there's still a lot of belief systems, like we said at the start. And I always say to people, if we've sorted all our shit out, then what's the point of us being here? Like we don't need to be in a physical body because we wouldn't need to feel pain, right? So for whatever reason, we still need to fumble through those distortions, which are relationships. But I think a lot of mine and needing to be higher and needing to be more successful and needing to be better than you and needing to have more than you and all of that stuff, not me, but like a person doing that, it comes from the lack that we're sold. We're always sold lack. And then I would also add on a physical level that food is not what it used to be. And even though I know that I would feel better after having a salad or a bowl of, goodness, like just a meal full of goodness, my body drives me to fatty, salty, sugary, right? Because that's what we've got in things. Now we've got so much fake stuff in things, the body's homeostasis is like down the road and across the creek. So by the time you're actually, some people have the ability to go, no, this feels good for me. Like Nicola's really good at it. I'm terrible. Like my little addicty kind of chase for something will go in it. So if she's away, I'm having like corn chips and, baked cheese or whatever for a snack or avocado and stuff. And she'll go, oh, no, I need to make something proper. And I'm like, well, thank God for that, because now I can eat properly. But it is like we are addicted to what we react to. So poisons and all of those things become an addiction, right? Like even people having an aversion to sniffing petrol, not like in a sense of where it's dangerous for them, but liking those smells. It's not good for us, but we can't sometimes get addicted to the things that are bad for us or that we react to badly, right?
And to add to that, I also don't think we actually understand what is available to us. So that's why fear is a big part of how we exist as a human race. That ultimately, if we start to understand what is available to us, which is a much more heart-centered living, compassionate, love, boundless, powerful, all that kind of stuff. What does that mean? What does that mean to that human being? Will I still be okay? Will I be able to keep my friends? Will, like all those questions can seem to come up because our deepest value, and I don't know if you guys would agree with this, but our deepest value is to be loved, to be loved. So our whole world is shaped around our ability to feel accepted and loved, and breaking down that necessity and that deep-seated, and that's been a big thing for me, that deep thing to feel loved and accepted. It's so entrenched in us because ultimately we're humans. We are intrinsically, we're a tribe. We love communities. We love people. We love engagement. This is way we respond. This is our past. This is our, I was going to say prototype, but it's our genetic makeup, and that in itself of being loved and accepted. It's so big. It's so big in this world, and we just shape ourselves. This is where unauthenticity resides in the world. And, how do I play this person so I can get what I feel they value from me, and I can feel loved and appreciated. And it's, like really standing in your power and starting to see, hey, I don't have to play the game or these insecurities. Obviously you have to get to know yourself first, that you actually understand that they are insecurities, for you to be whole and to be loved.
So it's funny, isn't it? So it kind of sounds like a circle thing that happens. Like we come here, we are love, we unloved, and we feel unloved, so we're seeking love, and then we kind of shape ourselves around that. Like, how do I get it? How do I get it?
What roles can I play?
Yeah. And then maybe your journey is just to fall in love with someone and then be with that person. And that's what love is for you, right? For other people, it's, breaking down all the trauma and the stories and stuff that have been imprinted and experienced in, up until that point. And then you have a breakthrough and you start to realize, oh, I'm actually not those things. They're just experiences that have kind of shaped me, and they don't define me. They've just helped me go in that direction. So, like with getting back to my father, like he's one of my greatest lessons in life ever. Like I don't need to have a relationship with that person, but I'm grateful that I learned that, because I then learned that that's not what I want in my life. So when you know what you don't want, you can really direct yourself to what you do want. So, and getting back to the addiction thing that you were saying, Bean, like it's it's so it's like two things. We're innately love and we're innately drug addicts.
Mm.
Every one of us, food,
Yeah.
Work,
relationships,
alcohol.
whatever you want to, whatever it is, we're all on that path. So it's innate. So it is part of the journey, which is probably why we're so desperately wanting to feel. So whatever makes me feel, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
So
Such a good point.
And distraction, right? That feel, yeah.
If it feels good, then I'm okay.
Yeah.
If it doesn't feel good, I'm going to find something else that'll make me feel good. So then that thing that's been happening in the last 20 years or whatever of like quick fix, I'm going to fix this with this.
Yeah.
And, all three of us have done that. We all did that for at least 10 years minimum, maybe a bit more. And, like.
You made me do it.
Sorry, I made lots of people do it.
I think I was pretty well versed before I met you.
I was very much easily coaxing people.
Yeah.
But, it's because I was seeking joy. I was seeking, that's the quality of the heart. So we're always coming back to the heart.
Yeah.
Right? Coming back to love. Right.
I was going to ask, in terms of your own practice about cultivating, I know it's a daily practice, and we do that every day by facing all the presentings that come to us, but is there anything that you want to share that you really love doing in terms of, coming into your heart and what that looks like, or what anything that you want to share that would,
Well, I just think that service is extremely important. And I think that when you make service a value and a quality in your life that's important, you stop making it about you so much. And it definitely, for me, is my dharma and makes me feel like I've got purpose when I'm in service. I've been teaching yoga for a long time and understand the power of movement and how important it is. So, like I had a grandmother that passed away not that long ago at the age of nearly 101. And my other grandmother was, I think, 99 or something like that. I've had this thing that I want people to live in their potential. So I know, like I was taught by those women, move, don't sit down and crumble and do nothing. If you want to have a full, expansive life that is of purpose and meaning, you can't sit down. Like, I don't mean be a neurotic mess and run around like a crazy person and never stop. I'm just saying you've got to be intentional and
you've
got to move your body every. So whether it's walking, whether it's stretching, if you're going to walk, you have to stretch. Like, those two things have to go together. But, for me, yoga has definitely been something that has made me feel incredible in my body. Also not incredible at times. Like, I'm injured. I've hurt my hand and I've got to have an MRI. Sorry, not an MRI, ultrasound today and an X-ray on my hand. Oh. So it's also, it's always about like learning from these things, like, I don't think injuries are bad things. I think they're good things. I think they're teaching us what are we doing. That's
absolutely
right. So it's good to, like, to have moments where you're learning from yourself instead of it just being perfection. Because that's
so head on the money. Yes.
Yeah. So I just feel like movement, meditation, like I every now and then I kind of get off the wagon of meditation and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, listen to what's going on inside of your head. You know the answer. You're actually like craving for, and that's meditation. So it's really the thing that brings us back into the heart. So it drops us back in very quickly. And if you don't have it in your life, it's very obvious. You know, the way you react to life becomes very clear to yourself and to everybody else. You don't have a pause. You don't have a moment before reacting. It's vomiting yourself onto everybody and everything. And that's really why I think, for me, the world has lost its way, because we're so consumed with being connected to tech and to, you know, being in a like, so for example, just being in Tokyo, I love them, like such beautiful energy. But when I'm on the train and they're all on their phone, I want to stand up and go, turn your friggin' phone off, turn it off, look at each other, have a moment. You know what I mean? Like, have a moment. I know that it's cultural and it's an amazing, like, it's also at the exact same time, it's totally amazing that right on the train and it's packed, right? So it's like millions of people working together in coherence. Like, it's such an incredible way of living. But humans, we're addictive humans. So, you know, these things, they're addictive, whether it's your phone or whether it's the food or whether it's whatever. It's easy for us to get into the habits. And that's, you know, the thing about the heart is that we have to get into the habit of connecting to it rather than connecting to all the other things and trying to get the heart to feel good through the other things. Reverse it. Let's be there, have those experiences, but take them or leave them. That's, you know, like, I just wish I could get rid of my phone.
Me too.
I just love to get rid of Instagram. Love to get rid of all of those things. Like, just, I feel like it is perpetuating disconnection.
Well, it's a distraction of the highest sort, isn't it? And just when you said that about like connection, like for me, having that true contact with people and connection is the word respect keeps coming up. And I think respecting everything, what you're saying is respecting your body, respecting yourself, respecting others, you know, respecting your time, respecting like everything, you know, respecting the heart, respecting source connection, respecting the lessons, all of that stuff, like that, having that connection to all of those things with a seeing of them, like not just being in them, you know. I just had this image yesterday, sorry to bring it up, but I moved one of our bins to put them back and there must have been a lizard under there, and you know where lizards drop their tail, you know, when they're stressed. And I looked around because I saw the tail and it was just like that nervous system failing. I was like, oh no. I'm glad that I know that they drop their tails, but that's the image I just got about people, you know, like just trying to exist in this space, bouncing off every reaction, whether they're bouncing off food or people's reactions or cars, or not bouncing off cars. That's a bit painful, but in traffic. You know, like in that reactive space, you know, to be love is to be able to come into that stillness, to be able to receive and give, you know, from that space. So to do so, you really have to be connected from here and to truly connect with others and honor their space. Like, take that time for people, obviously with your healthy boundaries, but like take that time for people so they can feel that connection and they can feel heard and seen and worthy of that connection. You know, it's really not hard. Like, it's really not hard. And I think that if we all took the time to do that, we wouldn't have the things that we have. The big drug companies and the, you know, serotonin uptake, reuptake drugs, all of that stuff would be gone. Like, we would have no need for it because we would feel supported and we would feel held and we would feel heard and seen, and we would be listening and seeing other people. You know, to me, that's the truest form of love, and that's the physical being that we've been put on this earth. And I think like to be. And I think that everything else, those distractions are part of the game, you know.
They are part
It's
of
like
it.
the more we become spiritual or connected or conscious, and the more we rise up into that vibration, you know, you can see the distortion matching it. And the more things are thrown at us, like, is it a coincidence that as we're ascending and becoming more conscious, that they're bringing out more distractions and more things that can, you know,
Take us away.
interfere with our energy,
Mm.
right? Like, in essence, I'm not going to go down those rabbit holes for EMFs and stuff, but in essence, when you're talking about all these platforms, they are interfering with our energy and our ability to be still, to be centered, to be in, right? So contact and respect, I think, and connection would be the things that really is the structure around loving someone or something, because it's the same for nature, it's the same for animals, it's the same for all things. Like, if you just have that connection, then we wouldn't do half the things that we do. You know, if we don't destroy nature when we love it and respect it, you know.
Yeah, I think that is definitely, and just really quickly getting back to Japan, that is the one thing I feel in that place is a respect.
Yeah.
Respect for one another, which is why it works, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, you know, coming back here, and there's a real lack of it. There's a lack of it. And I believe that we have the potential to have it. We have the potential to understand it, respect one another. But if you cannot respect another person who is different from you, then it's never going to work.
Yeah.
You always think that it has to be about your way, then it's not going to work.
And really to that, also saying that they also don't respect themselves, you know.
100%. And we know that because we look at people who are super angry and frustrated and whatever, and there's an underlying story that goes with that. So it's obvious, but it doesn't make it easy. And it just, you know, like it definitely feels like we're in Australia, especially, sometimes I feel like we're very young.
We're just so young.
Like
we are young, though. We are young, and I think we're in general a reactive society because of that. When you say it, like, the maturity isn't there to respond, it tends to be more of a reaction.
Yeah.
I think this has been great. I mean, I don't know if you want to add anything more to this conversation.
I think I'm pretty good. I mean, I think you could have volume 1 of love, volume 2 of love, volume 3, but we could all talk for hours too. So
that's a true story.
We might have to do a volume 2.
I just want to finish for me with love is just that for me, I'm just practicing every day to be more present and connecting to the moment. You know, I still find my head gets taken away frequently, and I just really want to be more love for myself, because I've only seen that the more love I can give for myself, the more I'm able to give love and be present. And I just want to be present. I want to connect so deeply with people.
Yeah, just one more thing from me. I think that babies and older people are our reminders of love. Like when, you know, you have those beautiful conversations with an old neighbor or something down the street who doesn't have anyone, and you just sit there and you have a conversation with them, and you just know that you've just like connected through each other's hearts, and they walk away feeling loved. And, you know, and then when you hold a baby, there's just like this vibration, just like love, only love. And, or whether it's a puppy or, you know, whatever, like we know all of this stuff. We already know it. We just have to allow ourselves to remember and to get out of our own way so that we can just keep being amazing examples of humanity.
Yeah.
Instead of selfish and fearful and angry, you know, like just I understand there's so much stuff going on in the world, but I can't change that, but I can change how I am right now.
Yeah, totally, and 100%. And beautifully said, Nickie. It's the little things that we do day by day, and every interaction that we do, that we have a choice to, you know,
Be the love.
be the love, and touch someone else with love as well, you know. And I think even from a really young age, like, I had this thought in my mind that what we say to others is really powerful, and we don't know what they're going through. And I never wanted to be the catalyst for someone doing something silly based on me being the last nasty thing that happened to them, you know. So I think that we have a lot of responsibility in society to keep cultivating love more and more, so people don't get to those hopeless places and can feel that connection and that love. And it's possible as a collective, it's possible as an individual. And yeah, I mean, from these conversations, I understand that it's all our plights to do it, you know, for ourselves and for everyone else around us that we come into contact with, because that is more powerful than anyone could ever imagine, you know.
And we didn't even get to talk about the fucking fact that when a whole fucking bunch of people come together and meditate, like, shit changes in the world. Remember those examples, like
the Maharaji effect, it's called.
The Maharaji. There we go. It's got a name. Like, love is powerful. But Nickie, we want to thank you for being here with us today. We fucking love you so much.
So if you like what you listened to today with Nickie Hanley and love and everything, check it out down below with her links. Please like and subscribe, hit the like button so you can get our notifications, and tell a friend if you think someone can get something out of these conversations and you really enjoy it. Share with friends. We're all about loving and sharing in this space.
Be amongst the community to put inspiration and being all that we can be on this planet Earth.
Yes, what she said. Anyway, until next time, thanks so much for watching, and we hope you have an amazing day.
Love you lots.